direction. And I don't think it's a direction where we're going to get what we want. They're going to give us what they think we should know. When it comes down to anything important, you can guarantee each page they turn over is classified. It's classified. They've already shown already at the at Congress. You know, they had these meetings, and they come out and they won't talk about it because it's classified. Well, what's it all about? What's it about? They're wasting taxpayers' money to put on a show which nothing's really happening. Nothing's happening at all. Yeah, every time they say, "Oh, it's going to happen next meeting. It's all going to come out." Nothing will come out, and I guarantee you, we'll be talking about 7 years' time. I guarantee it. I will turn around and say, "Well, now it's been 14 years since Louise Alizana come out, and we've still got nowhere with it." And I tell you, that's how it's going to. That's my personal opinion. But I like your guys' opinion on this. What do you think on this, Heidi? Ladies first. All right, welcome to the show, Eric.
Harry, am I there?
No, Eric Mitchell's there came on just to say hello, but his camera's playing up.
Oh, hey, I hear his audio, yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Eric. Anyway, look, okay, I'll just put it to Heidi. Sorry about that,
That's
Heidi.
Okay, Eric.
We'll get back to Eric in a minute.
Oh,
you can wait, Eric.
Hi, Laura. I see you again. Look, Laura, no echo. I just had my live. That's why I keep saying that, peeps. And it was like this echo, but we were talking ufology and stuff. So go figure.
Eric,
and here I am again.
She's better looking than you, mate. So I'll let her speak first. Jim keeps calling me, "You're a dirty old man, Mr. B."
I should know.
Well,
isn't there a song? Isn't there a song like that goes something like, "You're a dirty old man, Mr. B"?
Yes, Mr. Grinch.
Well, if there isn't, you'll create one, that's for sure. Anyway, Heidi, what's your opinion on this ufology yourself?
Well, first, I'm happy to see you. You've gone through some health. I'm happy you're back and you're here and you're all that. My opinion, I think it's a big business, and I think to get the full disclosure, I think we talked about it before. You're going to put a lot of people out of work, and you're going to break a cycle, and they don't want that. They want the mystery of ufology to continue because that's where follow the money. I think the infiltration has quadrupled, and I think it's intended to just divide everybody. The infighting is insane, and I'm kind of just pushing for the human experience. People sharing their stories of ufology, and just have the average Joe talk about it now because there has been a celebrity around it and a controlled narrative. I think Mike Holt said that before. Controlled disclosure. They want to control the narrative. So give it to the power back to the people and let it spread like wildfire. But
the one thing that they can't control is the four of us right here.
That's right.
Yeah, so they could put up all the barriers they can if we still have friends in high places, or we're just criminals at heart. We're going to find this stuff and present it to the world. I mean, what really bothers me, well, it's classified. How do you justify the classification? Under what category? It can't be technology. It's not ours. It's theirs. It can't be their capabilities. It's theirs, not ours. If we're seeing this, so are the Russians, so are the Chinese. So don't give me this crap that, well, this is for national security interest. I've been hearing national security interest for 60 years. 99% of it is crap. 99% of that, it's classified, is to hide money, to keep the bean counters from overlooking your shoulder, and decided that, oh, I have $450,000 has gone to that.
Yeah, well, back in the 60s,
Ashley Madison or whatever it was way back then, when dating site or hookup site or whatever.
Well, back in the 60s, that Air America, didn't they? And they used to transport bloody cocaine from South America and other places, and from Asia straight into the American public. It's like and that's where the black projects originally got all their finances from. But once they start shutting down that Air America and everything else, and people got wind of it, they have to get the finances from somewhere else. And that's why you've got $6 trillion unaccounted for in the United States. So
No, it's actually 21 trillion.
is it really?
Oh, picky.
Have they got gold seats, 9-karat gold, 18-karat gold toilet seats, or something, or what? I don't know.
Well, there's that's been going on for a long time. But to Jim's point, and Heidi as well, on the money, we've all heard about the secret space program, right? Or the off-world civilization. And all of the black stuff that's below the black stuff that's underneath that black stuff is all of the disclosure that people are talking about. And in my opinion, the whole approach and look at it needs to be changed. I think disclosure, you guys have heard me ramble on about this. I think that's the wrong word, but the way they're using it is the first level is this stuff in the sky is actually there, and some of it is not ours. Well, it's like, okay, well, people have known that for a long time. There's so much evidence that people have, whether it's actually empirical data that you can look at, like the pictures that Dustin was showing in your show, Heidi. That's anybody now, especially now, can make pictures. Back in the 50s and 60s, you didn't have Photoshop, but they still had some capabilities to do alterations on images. I think that the real issue, what it really is the second issue, which is if you're saying that other craft is not made by us and it ain't ours. Okay. That means that there's from somebody else, and that means that somebody else is out there, which means that we are not alone. And that's that disclosure. If that's the underlying thing, to me, that happened millennia ago. In every civilization's cosmology that we've been able to unearth and decipher and interpret, they all have the same stories. Somebody from up there came down here, told us stuff, gave us stuff, even made us. So that is a given. The stuff in the sky is a given by most people are going, hey, I've seen something. I don't know what it was. But nobody in officialdom can tell me what it was. And now there's this question as to whether how much of it is theirs and how much of it is ours, or vice versa. So I think the real word should be exposure. Because the information, the things that Jim was talking about, that they've had in these tech companies, in Lockheed Martian, all of these
nice play on word.
all of these, defense private companies, corporations, private contractors. That's where all the stuff is. That's where all the money goes. At least it starts there. But they've all created their own little sub companies and all these other little divisions of this and that buried here and there and known by few, if any. Right. So that exposure of the fact that they not only have that, but they have it because they've had the tech for over 70, 80 years. And if they wouldn't have kept the toys to themselves and played with the other children, the world we are in would be completely different. We would have free energy, free water, free communications. Our entire way in which our infrastructure, our social dynamics, the constructs, all of that, governments even, would be completely different if they had not kept the stuff to themselves and not shared with the other kids. That's the exposure that I think is about to happen. When people realize that these guys have been holding on to this stuff for that many decades, and they realize that the power, the transformative power that it would have had on our society, most of it being actually, even though we're on Tesla tech right now, the other Tesla tech is the stuff that they've been holding on to that would be a part of this transformation. Free energy.
Listen, just let me present something here, which I created yesterday, and it'll give us a bit more food for thought to talk about. Just hold on a sec.
You need more to talk about than what I just
yourselves
said?
for a thrilling journey with Mr. B and friends on Truth Seekers. In today's episode, we'll delve into some burning questions. Why, you ask? It's high time we put the world's governments under scrutiny. We're asking the big, bold questions about the UAP phenomenon, or Unidentified Aerial Phenomena if you're not into acronyms. Are our leaders hiding something? The plot thickens as we ponder if a secret space program has been in operation since 1947. It's a question that lingers, unanswered, in the minds of many. Is it a truth too shocking to handle, or just another conspiracy theory? Join us as we unravel the mysteries that have been kept under wraps for far too long. Remember, the truth is out there and we're on a relentless pursuit to find it. Stay curious and keep seeking with Truth Seekers.
Well, how about that? That's like a bit of a kind of pun for the show.
Fancy
Yeah, but
pants.
still, it's like the government themselves, they manipulate it. I mean, they look, I believe they've got down UFOs. I honestly believe that. And I believe Roswell was real. And unfortunately, when things go to Congress, they've left it a kind of a door wide open to 1,000 questions. What we should be doing is asking a specific question. We want a specific answer, yes or no. We want the truth. Now they go in,
but it's like Jack Nicholson's character in Few Good Men. You can't handle
it,
the
baby.
truth.
Yeah. I was waiting for that
Well,
one. Yeah.
And I think that what we're seeing, we're going to get what you're asking for, in my opinion. What we're seeing is what I saw coming about a year and a half ago, and I called it the rise of the pissed off peeps.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening, in my opinion, based on my subjective observation and semi-critical analysis, is that the information that we're talking about, that they've been holding on to, that they won't tell us, that they won't share with the rest of the kids in the playground, that information is getting piece by piece squirted out through the little cracks in the conversation. And we're seeing it across a multitude of different media platforms and feeds. Everything from the messaging from X, all of these video streaming platforms, the personalities and the content that have been on those platforms. When somebody asked me, said, well, how do you filter all of this, deluge of data and tsunami of crap and figure out what it is that you need to pay attention to that's worth paying attention to? I said, well, the first thing you need to do is just look at those who have been kicked out of wherever they were and ended up somewhere else and check out how they're doing. Because if you look at Rogan, what did he get, a new $250 million deal? Russell Brand is killing it. Tucker Carlson over 180 million views on the Poot interview. I mean, the people.
No, it's up to 1 billion. I heard
1 billion. That's nuts.
I'm not surprised.
Well, I'm hard of hearing, so maybe no. But I thought what I just
the last tweet I saw earlier today was. Last tweet I saw earlier today was around 180, 190 million, but that's ridiculous by itself.
People want the truth.
And the other thing that you're seeing is that the traditional, what's been called the mainstream media, or MSM, which I refer to as the legacy media, all of their shit is tanking. Their numbers are cratering because the viewers aren't watching it anymore.
Firing everybody. And
they're laying people off, while everybody that they went after is doing fantastic. Now, to me, I like statistics and analyzing things and looking at trends. Trends analysis are really cool to look at if you do it objectively with good data and processes. And what you see is the independent, pissed off peeps on the rise. You see the legacy, traditional, mainstream on the decline.
Rat bastards, yeah.
Now, that is happening by itself. It's organic. there isn't, if there has been any particular manipulation or intent and manipulating the content and the viewers, all of the performance of those who are losing it apparently is not doing very well, clearly. And it's and they have a collective set of issues because they're all going down, some more than others, but the trend lines are all straight down. The subscription services are all having it. They're trying to rethink all the sports, all of the media. Here is my point here. All of the traditional media where the information feeds and streams have been typically pumped and consumed have all started to go through a dramatic change. The technology that enables us to do what we're doing here, that we get on and go, as Jim said, they can't stop us because we're doing this, whether the platform it's going to decides to turn it off or kick it off, they ain't stopping this. And what you're seeing is more people doing this, getting their content out. And so the rise of the pissed off peeps is upon us. We're seeing this proliferation of all kinds of new information coming from all kinds of sources and having access to all these diverse ideas and data sets so that you can add to the analysis that you're using to figure out how to navigate the shitstorm that we're in. I see a trend, in my opinion, again, that is, while we're seeing just a concentrated cacophony of crap, it's getting all intense. It's like somebody's gone in and turned all the burners on the stove, turned on the dishwasher, no dishes, turned on all the faucets high. They got everything going as much as they can because they don't have anything left. The product that they've been selling has been rejected. And if you have to force people to take the product, then you don't have a product that anybody wants. And there's a whole different set of rabbit holes there. But I think we're on the positive side. We're coming up to the positive side of a great transformation where the technologies that the UFO guys have been holding on to and won't let out, to the access to information and the ability to do investigative information analysis and figure out how you think about that, and then get with other people and share it.
Yeah, well,
because
I don't
that's
think
what
it's going to
happening.
come out personally. Anyway,
Well,
listen,
I can't share. I'll just finish with this. I can't share in the anger and angst that you have, B.
I don't have anger. I don't have anger. I have frustration, if anything. Frustration.
Well, yeah, frustration. I look at it and go, it's what you expect them to do. Yeah. But you can't go knock on their heads and get them to open up. The cracking of the noggins is happening organically. That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
the information is coming out, so they're not going to win in the long run.
The white hats, you got two factions going on, one for it and one against it, and they're fighting internally.
I think there's more than the whites and the blacks. I think there's some grays and there's some other shades in there.
Yeah.
I think it's more like the folks that are controlling stuff. It's more like a mafioso family. There's a whole bunch of different families running different sections of this and that. Some that have held on to this and that for longer than others. But there's just a group of them, and they go along to get along, but they are not doing well because they're all losing their shit. Every one of them, whatever little fiefdom that they've held on to, is falling apart. The people are not responding and adhering and acquiescing to their requests to do and think and say as we tell you. That's just not cutting it anymore because the peeps have finally got it. So we're winning. You just have to be patient.
Yep. I just want to say, are you still with us there, Eric? Hello, Eric. Come in. Oh, he's there.
Hey, B, how are you?
Yeah, he's having IT problems. His camera's not working. So, and anyway, Jim, you know Eric.
Yeah. From Antarctica.
No. Different Eric. This is Eric Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
It's underwater.
Yeah. You're both in the same documentary at one time. So, which documentary was that there, Eric?
I'm not really sure the name of it yet, but it was a UFO Garage with Ben and Joe. And Yeah, good guys,
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
I did my very first podcast with them.
yeah, that's they're doing a documentary about me, and you were actually in it. It's not premiered yet, but
Yeah, I've
but
been
yeah.
waiting. I've been waiting a year and a half for it.
Well,
Yeah, I was there. I was in Sedona in June of 21. What is it? Oh, it's 2024. Oh my God! How could that
Yeah.
happen?
What's that noise coming from your phone there, Eric?
Oh no, it's completely quiet here.
Yeah, it's coming through. I don't. Are you guys picking up that noise?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am. I'm laughing because it's probably the intruders I had on my live.
yeah. No, I think when Eric is keyed, I don't know if you're muting your your voice, but when you're not, we don't have that background noise.
Yeah,
it's
when you
clear
talk,
as-
it goes away. So yeah,
yeah. So whatever you're
Eric's
doing,
winning.
just
yeah.
keep
He's put it on mute now until he talks. So
It's
what's
cute,
your
though.
opinion? So what's your opinion of all this? The direction of ufology, there, Eric?
he doesn't know.
He's
right?
got to
Yeah,
unmute
no,
now.
yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. First and foremost, I did not believe in UFOs at all. I thought it was something for crazy people. In 2013, I was a single father, and these objects were coming into my yard and scaring the hell out of everybody. The DOD got involved, MUFON got involved, and it took my simple life away from me. So I was kind of brought in a very particular way where I didn't know anything about this stuff. I didn't know anything about ufology. So my lead investigator sent me to Dolores Cannon's conference in northern Arkansas, and that was my first way of being exposed to this industry. So the only way I can do this is to tell you how I was particularly, walked into this thing. So it was ugly. It was really ugly. I was naive. I thought everyone was going to be like me. And come to find out, it's an industry. It's about money. It's about finger pointing. It's about, how to get ahead, how to knock other people down. And I was mortified. I absolutely, am completely a different person now. I mean, I've learned a lot. I've brought a lot of this into science and not ufology. It's not where it belongs. But back then, just being a kind of a kid, a child, into dealing with my children and the whole thing, and having high hopes and thinking that I can meet professionals that really know what I'm going through, what my children are going through. And I showed up to a circus, and everyone had a squeaky nose. Everyone had makeup. Everyone was a joke. So that was my first inception into it. But I've had a lot of trouble, even since. But I got with a man by the name of Dr. Edgar Mitchell and Ray Hernandez, and we started the first comprehensive study into experiencers in the world, for the very first time. And that really felt good. It had a lot of, it really encapsulated what this is about. It really said that what I am and what you are is true. So, I went in further, Stanford, Harvard, University of Northern Texas, Montana soon, because of, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am the strange human that Dr. Michael Masters talks about last year in Phoenix. So I did develop a brain anomaly that can be studied and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's been a long ride, but am I happy with ufology? No. Should it stay there? I think it should stay there, but it should evolve. It should become more academic. It should be not a notoriety business, but more of a science. So if we can just combine the two, that would be great for me.
Right. Okay. Look, I'm going to, while you guys keep on talking, I'm going to see if I can bring up a little video clip. I know I do have one of Eric, where we're a group of guys, and they actually took up a reading of your brain activity. Is that correct, Eric?
I'm not sure which clip you have. There's things floating around.
No, that user guide that actually put the one where you open your mouth and to show that you're not doing anything with your tongue, making the noises. I'll see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find it. You guys.
Yeah. Well, I think the MRI activity would be a lot more impressive, but why not? Let's
I'll try to find it first, but let's keep talking, guys. Just keep talking. Who's that? Who was that? Who was that? Somebody came in and
that was Eric. That was Eric. He showed up for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, his phone's not playing. He's playing up, so that's why he's going voice. Yeah. Anyway, so Heidi.
Yes.
So, what would you like to see happen in ufology?
Ooh.
Now we talk about the downfalls and and the controlling of it, but I like to know what does each individual want to see from ufology? I know we want the truth of this and truth of that, but it's what is it going to offer us? That's the thing. What benefits are we going to get out of it, or if they let us have it? Because remember, any high tech stuff that becomes public, the episodes like China and Russia and everybody else are going to be playing with it too. So, is that one of the reasons why they keep this technology from down craft? Because they know while they've got it, they've got the upper hand. Now, it's like after the Second World War. I mean, the Americans detonated the nuclear bomb, and then once everybody knew America had the nuclear bomb, then Russia started working on it, and then it became the Cold War, the threat of a nuclear holocaust. So, what you develop starts working against you, not for you. It becomes a technology which is good, it helps, but it can also become a threat, a true threat. So
that's why they call it a deterrent.
Yeah, well, that's a deterrent is one thing, but when somebody else got the same tech, it's like a Mexican standoff, isn't it?
Right now, in 150,000 square mile chunk of the North Pacific, is an Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine with up to 20 Trident II submarine-launched ballistic missiles. The Trident II can carry 14 reentry vehicles, but because of salt, they don't carry more than 4. So if all 20 holes are filled and they're filled to the limit, each one of those nukes can hit within 10 meters of where they want it to hit. And everything is targeted. Someone going to detonate a nuclear weapon. It's going to be one of the I call them the third world, but the third world would be like North Korea, and maybe some I think there's some fractions within some of the breakaway republics, Ukraine being one of them, where there's enough technology and knowledge and talent that hasn't been killed or disappeared or whatever, that would allow them to do maybe a crude weapon.
Right.
So, but but we're getting why is UFO information being considered classified when it's talked about to the to the people that represent us, Congress, the congressmen and senators. What is the justification for its classification?
Well, that's
keeping us
another,
dumb. Mhm.
that's another, because it leads to the next question, doesn't it? I mean, do we? Yes, they exist. Yeah, okay, what do you know about them? Oh, well, have you got down craft? Like Rush is talking about it. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, he talks about it. Everybody wants to believe him. So, okay, if it's true, what did they get out of it? What technology did they get out of it? Now, if they have to start spooling out, hey, this is the technology we've got, well, that opens up another can of worms. Now, because it's like, then the people like China and Russia, then they start feeling threatened and intimidated. And it's like, who's got the biggest stick on the block? I mean, in a playground, who's going to beat who with it? I mean, it's a frustrating thing. I think I can understand why they keep it secret. I really do. The technology side, but that doesn't mean to say they can't say, yes, we have the technology. Maybe in the next 50, 60 years or so, when the world's at a better place, maybe we can release it, but I don't know. I mean,
now, if we have it, I have to believe the Russians are as capable as we are, and the Chinese are good thieves, so they have it too. So there's,
that's what I was going to jump in with, is that if anybody thinks that we're the only ones with this technology from other places and other people, that's very naive, very myopic. This stuff has been around in all these different countries for decades. And you can even make the argument that it goes back even millennia, but that's a different rabbit hole. The stuff that's being sequestered now is scattered across an elite group of people who have special access, and it's managed by, and again, there's even fiefdoms like the mafioso that I was talking about for the overall Mr. Globaloni. There's little factions within these secret technology developments and these little enclaves of knowledge where the real black and deep black stuff is going on. They're in competition with each other. And there's all these different races, our cosmic cousins, who are clearly engaged with this small group. And yes, they do walk among us. And yes, some of them do look like us. But all of that has been going on right in front of us for decades. And there's been this artificial bubble put on it by the people that are controlling the narrative with, oh, it's classified. It's classified. You can't know that because it's not safe to let it out into the world. It's like, okay, well, there's so much of it out there now that the classification, as Jim keeps bringing up, is highly questionable. Some of it doesn't need to be it's classified. Some of it probably does, depending on how, if they've got teleportation, which some say they do, if they've got a base on Mars and actually a civilization on Mars, which seems pretty likely. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that has come out now that has, at least if you look at it from does it pass the really test? There's all of that, all of what they're doing at that level is pretty much known. So I think that's going to be the first part of the disclosure of, which I'm calling the exposure of the stuff they've been hiding. So this stuff's going to have to come out. But you were saying what technology, what difference would it make? The three most important ones: free energy, free water, and free communications. You let just those three out. Keep the rays and the dews and all that stuff to yourself. Give us the free energy, the free water, and the free communication.
I totally agree with it. But I totally agree with it. I mean, look, everybody's doting on all this Tesla cars and all this green energy. But hydrogen's the way to go, and really is.
Yeah, hydrogen, and BMW is doing that now. Yeah, they're going to release. They're supposed to release their first hydrogen cars next year.
Anyway, listen, I'm going to play the video of Eric Mitchell's little video clip that I have of him, where you can actually get the brain readings on the oscilloscope. I think the oscilloscope. Anyway, I'll play it for you now.
I was thinking, think of a cape. Like, if anybody were to try to debunk this, what would they think? So I tried to put myself in that kind of frame of mind.
Microphone.
So I'm thinking because it sounds so tactile, I was thinking like, is he grinding his teeth? So I tried that. It is in the same hertz level, but it's like your teeth would have to be super long to make that long of a noise, and it's very consistent. It's like the same.
Let's do it with my mouth open. We'll do it
And
that
we
way?
shall. Yes.
All right, let's do that.
Yes.
It may look funny, but I like the way you think.
Anything that we can rule out
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
camera,
Yeah.
let's rule it out.
And I appreciate that, guys. I probably wouldn't have thought about grinding my teeth. in
But
this.
but it also didn't work like the grinding teeth.
Right.
Well, don't ruin your enamel over there.
We're rolling over there.
Yes.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm picking it up. I wonder if there's anything. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you had your mouth open, so dude, yeah, it's coming through loud and clear. So, is there anything we could try to test out? Like,
You're
Can't hear,
you're
can't
muted,
hear you,
B.
B.
Eric was
Or was that neutered? Was it muted or neutered? Never mind.
both, mate.
Well, his
Anyway.
wife's out of town for a month, so he's
Oh.
he was neutered
Yeah.
before she left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, mate. I was muted bloody years ago. Hey, that's only a memory now. but Eric was actually counting in his mind 1, 2, 3. And so that's what you're actually picking up. He's not saying it; he's actually thinking it, and that's what the oscilloscope is actually picking up. So just like you know that, I'll continue.
maybe do like a 1, 2, 3, and then long.
Sure.
Yeah. And he's still holding it.
You can probably see the microphone moving as well.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, dude, that's pretty awesome. I don't know how you're doing that, other than what you're trying to tell us.
What happened was
I love the way you just said that, Ben.
You're trying. You told us already. Okay, so yeah, I went to school for music, and I picked up a lot of things from some really knowledgeable people. So from what little I do know and I do on a regular basis, I'm used to looking at audio frequencies and sound waves. This doesn't look like anything I've seen before. It's definitely like sub 250 hertz range, which is lower than usually what a voice usually sings at or whatever. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, it's hard to pass even higher pitches through brain tissue, bone tissue, flow in the water and blood flow around the brain. I mean, it's got to surpass all that. So even higher pitches are going to sound lower than what your intention is because of all that passive. Now, my ear canal has less bone density, and so do the holes in my skull. So you're going to get a clear picture on screen, maybe sound on screen, or with your headphones, but
You're muted, B.
I know. And here I'm back. I know. I've got a dog barking in the background, so I'm muting the dog out.
No.
If it keeps barking, it will get muted. Oh, muted. Yeah. So, Eric, would you like to cap on that one there for us, mate? Tell us a bit more about it.
Well, it's a bit of a mouthful. I started to email a man by the name of Gary Nolan at Stanford University about the anomaly. I eventually started working with people at Harvard University. I do apologize. I am tired. But brain anomaly is look into it, you'll be able to find a lot of scientific literature. It's not woo-woo. It's very incredible, but it's not woo-woo at all. I mean, it's scientifically well understood. It seems what I personally deal with, every day, is something that not a lot of people can understand. But it is what it is. It's not trickery. There's no fakery. I don't try to chase clout or be popular or anything like that. But experience.
Eric, I've got a question for you. Have you ever tried doing any voice analysis or voice print? Any bioenergetics?
What I can do with my brain is way more what I can do with my voice. I mean, my voice is limited, speech is limited, but when it comes to vibration.
Yeah, I understand that, but the technology that's out there now, the Genius app is quite fascinating and worth looking into. And I've been in sound and engineering for 25 or 30 years now. And so I understand what he was doing, and I was looking at it. I'd like to see a richer waveform than what he was able to show on that small screen and really analyze the hertz. But if voice print technology can basically, the frequencies coming from your voice can give indications throughout your entire system, even to the auras. And if this is what's going on up in your brain, it should pick it up in some way and give some kind of telemetry that you can look at and go, it's different than the waveform that he's recording audibly. It'll get it electromagnetically is what I'm saying. So that might be worth checking into to see what the readings come back with.
Well, I would love your help. I would love anyone's help. Obviously I've got a lot of PhDs involved. So free mind is important when it comes to something like this. I mean, it's hard to be just some guy roaming around in the world, and not having, answers and everything like that. But, yeah, I do aspire to scientists. Every given particular mind that would endure looking into it, I think that would be great. So if you can help me in any way, I would appreciate it.
Well, in the chat, Karen Ann McDonald she's listening tonight and was just referencing what I was talking about. And Ryan Williams over at the Genius app is the guy that is doing that work. I would highly recommend trying to get some kind of reading with that. I've had it myself, and it's fascinating, and the amount of information that's available through that process is richer than anything else I've seen out there personally. And I left the allopathic PhD MD world about 30 years ago and have been straight into energy and frequencies and working with the modalities of the energy systems of the body and the mind. So Ryan, the Genius app, I think would be a great place for you to go take a look at, and Karen I know can hook you up with them.
Well, I certainly have my struggles. I mean, the average EEG is around 7.38 hertz, and the average experiencer is 30 hertz. I mean, they'll show that people are having an electromagnetic effect with an electromagnetic intelligence. And I really wish that somebody would write that on the wall so we can get over it. But my last EEG on purpose was 1,590 hertz, and they asked me to do that. So, it's not. I'm not one of those popular people or chasing clout or anything like that. My chasing is trying to find the truth. But it seems to be that stories are more important. That how do I put that? Entertainment minds are more important than entertainment truth. People love entertainment so much. We're being bought and sold so often that we forget about what truth is. When truth goes up, people negate the fact that it affects them or should affect them or should be a part of them, because we have so much entertainment in our society that X-men are cool, but real men are nothing. And I find that incredible. I mean, I really do. I mean, if you look into, the aspects of that, and how many people do we leave behind through these things, where ufology itself wants to blow up somebody that believes they're a messiah, and ufology wants to put down people that are so incredible that if you took a second, maybe even 2 seconds, you could find out that your mind could be completely blown by these people that are incredibly quiet. And what I mean by quiet is that when I think, I don't cohere the ignorance of words or language when I think. It's feeling. When I think about stuff, I don't think there's Mr. B, there's Terry, my man. I don't think, I feel. And I think that's a part of an intelligence that we need to focus on, understand that sound and frequency and love is a part of nothingness that becomes everythingness. Because if you look at the universe, it is absolutely nothingness all over the place that becomes everythingness when it becomes you and I. And when you and I look at the stars, we realize we are that. I think that's something special. Maybe I sound too profound or like a crazy person, but it's.
No, you're not crazy at all, Eric. You're actually not only normal, you're maybe a little on the super normal. And that's what these things, to me, and the way I look at them, actually are. It's redefining what we have been told is normal and looking at the reality of who we are to find what is normal. And that is the realization of oneself and the frequencies that make up who we are, how we function, the way that we interact with the reality around us. And the struggle that you've had is something that is anomalous to the established system. That's why you've had, in my opinion, so many different individuals, practitioners, experts, and MDs and EIEIOs, I'm sure, trying to sort out what this is and what to make of it. But there's a lot more information outside of the establishment realm. The current orthodoxy is a very limited set of information and perspective. But when you look at things like biofeedback, the things that Karen, who put in the chat, I highly recommend you get in touch with her. I'm going to be actually doing a show with her on energies and frequencies and ancient healing and modern technology here in soon. But that biofeedback, being able to look at the system from an electromagnetic perspective, from a frequency perspective, everything that we do, what we eat, the air we breathe, the interactions we have, the thoughts that we have in our minds are all frequencies. And the anomaly that you're experiencing, it has its own unique frequency signature. It just hasn't been looked for in the right frequency perspective, in my
If you don't mind me asking, Eric, if you don't mind me asking, that doctor you're actually talking to, you got right in his face. He actually heard you talk to him without saying a word. Is that correct?
Yeah, his name is Michael P. Masters, PhD. Yeah, he did.
Because I saw a video clip of him talking about you, and he says you virtually had your knee in his groin. You got right in his face, and he actually picked up your voice without you talking, saying a word, like a mental telepathy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Wow. I'm kind of a private person, but yes, Terry, he did. And that was not his crotch. It was his thigh. And
that's what he said. But he said it was crutch. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
No, regards to his wife. Yes.
Yeah, he said he felt uncomfortable. You got that close to him. That's what he was getting on about. But he said, but he heard you talk without you saying a word.
No, it's okay. I mean, we live everyday life. We want to buy Coca-Cola. We want to buy Pepsi. We want to have Crocs and maybe a fanny pack and credit cards, and we buy into reality. Do all these things. We just do all these fraudulent ideas called distractions. As a matter of fact, you actually work overtime to buy distractions. And I think it's kind of maybe a little bit foolish. It's a preservation type of way of living. But yeah, I did draw myself into hard to explain because oh gosh, it would take all day. But the basic sense is intuitive ability tends to choose things. It tends to look around. It's a part of your motor function. It's a part of your basal ganglia, which is a motor function. Yourself. First and foremost, you have empathy. You feel people, emotions. You feel those things. Second, you start to be intuitive, which no psychic, and thirdly, non-locality. So once your motor function fills up all the way, the whole Kool-Aid glass is filled up all the way, it must find a way to expand more. And it can't swell, it can't bleed into other areas. So basically what it has to do is say, someone is sitting behind me, they're looking at me, and I know it. And then you turn around and it's there. When are we going to get over the fact that we shouldn't be distracted? We shouldn't think in terms of words or language or anything like that. Everything should be quiet. Everything should be noticed. And, everything should be part of our motor function. When did we forget that we're animals and our motor function should run everything? We focus on what we're supposed to be lied to about instead of focusing on our hearts. Everybody in this whole UFO thing, which absolutely astounds me on a daily basis. The moment my toes hit the carpet in the morning, I am so by people that talk about lights in the sky while we forget about the lights that are in our hearts. And I am murdered by this.
Wow.
I'm just cheering you. I had to unmute to go, yes.
I mean,
My dog was going crazy.
I'm actually lost for words there. So
yeah, that's
Jim,
it. He nailed it. I'm mic dropping him.
what's your take on all this, Jim?
We're talking about frequencies. That's what pulls me towards somebody or pushes me away from them. Mm-hmm. Because their frequencies are not compatible with my frequencies. I mean, when I met Robert on this program here a while back, I knew instantly. I like this guy, and I really want to meet him in person. And which I did last August, beginning of September, and it was we transmit and receive in the same frequency. You have your incredible areas of expertise, and I have mine. I'm open to everything, and then the one thing I want to say about this community, your 4 wonderful representatives, well, 3, not counting me, but Eric, a little bit ago. I feel for the first time in my life, I'm not a joiner. I spent 27 years in the military, but that was out of a love of country as much as anything. But I'm not a joiner. But I sort of stumbled into this community in March of 2019 when I met Doc Skinner. And I have never felt so comfortable. And I enjoy everybody. I mean, we have the 4 of us on this screen represent an incredible diverse amount of information, but we're drawn together because we share similar frequencies. And I think that, and I've always felt that way. My mom was that. My mom could see the future, and she could read a person. I bring a kid over. I'm 10 years old. I bring Rusty Brown over. My mom gives him, all she says, how's it going? And she's, nice to meet you, Mrs. Goodall. And she gives him a hug, like Sicilian mothers do. And then after she leaves, she tells me all about him. And she's right. I mean, about his family, about how he's upbringing, how he is in school, the whole bit. She said she can just feel it. So I know we all have that capability. I've had a lot of weird dreams that became reality 7 years later, 10 years later. I dreamt for 7 years, and I told my ex-wife, my first wife, about every 5 or 6 months, I'm having this dream. I'd be in San Francisco for a major earthquake. And I very rarely go to San Francisco because I have family in the East Bay and I grew up down in the peninsula. And I kept having this same recurring dream. And so I'm in there October 1987. What do we have? The Loma Prieta earthquake. Exactly like I had described it to Shelley. She was blown away. And I had another one that I didn't tell anybody about because it scared the hell out of me. And that was the World Trade Center, 9/11. I dreamt that for 10 years. And it was just too crazy to say anything. Now, how can I remember doing something like that? Our brain is an incredible piece of equipment. And, some people really know how to use it. I mean, I'm not talking about intellectual or be able to have, have a good line of crap, when they're trying to sell something. No, but you transmit that energy. I know people, some people, they come into a room full of people, and all of a sudden the whole place warms up. It's the energy that comes from that person. My mother was one of those. And I think because she was a Sicilian mother, she was always, smiling. She was always happy. She gave everybody a hug. And I do the same thing. And my mom sort of just, sort of laughed. It says, I get a tremendous amount of information about the person, about the positive energy or negative energy when I give someone a hug. And if it's negative, I hold them a little bit tighter and hope that my energy will go into them. So, I grew up with that stuff. Mom would say, I grew up in, if you're familiar with the Bay Area, I grew up in the Mountain View, Los Altos area, Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I put a link in the chat there in YouTube. Anybody wants to jump in and join in on the panel, feel free, as long as you mind your language.
You're getting a lot.
Did I say something silly?
You're getting static.
Eric's audio is acting up.
Eric, are you talking, Eric? Hey, by the way, I do have a link that anybody wants to join the chat. Come in on the show, come in and say hello and give us your point of view. Anyway,
I got to do a refill, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. Eric, can you hear us? Do you hear that? Yeah, there's.
I don't think he can hear that.
Major static coming through your.
Are you there, Eric?
Yeah, if I may jump in, the guys from UFO Garage they're doing a documentary about me. It's not very impressive, but there's some good points in there. But they asked me, they said, what do you think about Jim Goodall being in the film? And I said, yes, Jim Goodall should be because he has the brain anomaly. Show right now in real time, literally talking about special special, and that special notoriety that people have with this brain anomaly that they can pick up these things. So I thought that was incredible. It's always validation. I deal with that every day, and so just thought I'd put that.
I think it's proof positive what's happening because he's the audio with him. He's radiating so much.
I can't wait for
Yeah,
your phone to get
exactly.
fixed.
Well, to Eric, to your point, and also to what Jim was saying, the fundamental nature of just being real and having connection with one's true self, which is what we're all trying to get to. In our core, we are empathetic, we are positive, we are loving, we have a positive energy state that is the nature of our energy and the nature of our existence. All of the mangling and the manipulation and all of the nastiness that we are experiencing as we are now, in my opinion, has been purposely perpetrated. It's been programmed. It's been the intent to get us into this twisted state of chaos and discomfort and not knowing what the hell's going on. It's all been on purpose. And I think that once you realize that, or once you have that, at least that awareness, you can start peeling that stuff off and get back to self, get back to that raw essence of our existence and those pure emotions and energies that we have.
Well, people mention consciousness, but it's not about consciousness. It's about conscious attention. Conscious is that we are fooling ourselves with the idea that something is directly in front of us, and we're fooling ourselves with the idea that we can't back up and look at a bigger picture every time we just take a step back every time. So we're incredibly emotionally involved with a tiny circle instead of seeing the whole. Too many people want to kill themselves. They want to die because their conscious attention is on such a tiny little spot that they cannot back away from it. And it's addiction to super glue, where oh my God, my life is so terrible, and we can't really see a whole an ecosystem that is around us. Every being on this planet has an ecosystem, and if it doesn't provide for you, of course you're going to have a smaller conscious attention. But when we have a healthy system around us, we can tend to back up and smile about everything, and nothing is a little dot on a piece of paper, but it's so much bigger. So within that kind of concept or idea or feeling or emotion, we can back up way further and look at social engineering, propaganda, and all those things that we're being taught. So far, we're all some sort of meat suit pretending to be some sort of personality, and I believe that's cute. I believe that's wonderful. But, we can back up further than that, and realize that what we're doing is very silly. What we're doing as some sort of playing of reality is a very silly thing. And corporations and banks and so many different things tell us who we're supposed to be. And somehow we become that actor, and somehow we pull it out of thin air that I am supposed to be this particular personality. But, at the end of the day, when we're done fooling ourselves and having a good time with this acting position, we find something that's very particular, something that's more important than consciousness, and that's called love. And love has a very particular insight because it is a direct eyeball on one spot on one paper, just like we were talking about before. But when you back up, it is much larger. So in the physics of that type of reality, I find it very curious that we have some scapegoat into consciousness leaving itself in order to better itself through something that is bigger than itself. And, so far for me, I mean, it's not even conscious to love. It is a direct, innate possibility throughout all of consciousness. And I think without that, spooky action at a distance or quantum entanglement would fall, because it takes that specific thing to connect. And I believe it's an important thing. Do alligators love? Yes, they do. They love their young. Do sharks love? Yes, they love their young. So everything that we look at that is such an enemy, we have to understand your eyes are wrong. You're an enemy to yourself when you decide that everything that you look at is wrong or bad or evil. We just have to change how we experience the world. And so the poor little me tends to walk away and take a lunch break as we observe actual reality. Does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does make sense. I mean, yeah. What can you say? I mean, love is everything. I mean,
Oh yeah, and you know it. I mean, like, what is the definition of true love? Putting your wife or girlfriend in the trunk of a car on a hot day and your dog, and then drive around town for 10 hours. When you open the trunk lid, who's there? Who loves you?
Who's happy to see you? That's right.
Yeah.
Who's the most happy to see you?
Yeah.
Jim, that analogy, my friend, that analogy, I've been told so many times. It's hilarious. And that's the thing. You lock your wife and your dog in the trunk.
Hey, look, exactly. You know who loves you when you walk through the door, mate. When that dog starts waggling its tail, you know that dog loves you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I can go out to the mailbox and come back in, and Scarlett is all, I have a rescued German Shepherd, and she's just so happy to, and of course I have to give her a treatsy because I went somewhere and I came back, even if it's in the garage. I mean,
yeah. Who's got who trained, Jim?
I was saying she has me well trained. I'm the treatsy.
Who picks up who's pulled? I mean, that's it.
Yeah, and she knew it from the beginning.
That's exactly right.
So on this UFO, what's going on subject that we've been talking about, and Eric has shared his experience with it and the state of it. There's clearly, it seems, it's almost like it's been kind of commercialized within its own little community, and it's got its product of the day, or whatever it might be, the blue light special, pun intended. There's that level of it, and it's unfortunate because, like the stuff that I was mentioning about Eric's perspective and where he's at, that all of that to me is the programming of the narrative, which is designed to program the mind. And so it puts people into these identities and these categories and classifications and groups of different groups that have a common characteristic. You have this color skin, you're this gender, you're from there, you speak this, whatever it might be. And there's been a lot of purposely focused manipulation of all of that to cause a lot of the confusion, and which overlays the fundamentals that you're talking about: love, empathy, having desire, having being able to sense and feel proclivities and preferences, and the things which are nothing more than the things you resonate with. That's what you attract to. And if you've got a bunch of stuff in the way that's been put there on purpose to deflect you somewhere else, it's hard to get to that which you really desire, and which really is the expression of who you are. Us as humans, we all have all these different resonances and frequencies that we're made of that we attract to. That's why Jim is attracted to me, and I have to admit, I get a man crush on him too.
Now, Jim, what I also find, the very few that the 1%ers that rule what they think they rule, They do at the moment, I suppose, but they have no kind of conscience about, let's start another war. We'll send somebody else's children in to fight it while we sit back on our backsides in the office and we'll drink our champagne and say, what's the statistics today? You know, I mean, let's put it this way: the Chinese people themselves, they're pretty nice people. I mean, the average person in China probably just wants to go to work, come home, love their family, feed their kids, and do everyday things like we do. In the same
Beat
in
their
America,
wife.
yeah, and the same in Australia. I mean, we don't go and think about let's
You're
go
going to pay
to
for
war.
that, Jim.
It's the few in politics with their
Their
political
poor
agendas
wives.
that creates this conflict. And we're only talking about the few. I mean, it's like, let's put it, 3,000 politicians in America will turn around and say, okay, we'll have a vote on this bit. We're going to send troops in. They're not going in the fight. I tell you now, if let's go back about 300 or 400 years ago, the king or whoever leads the country has to lead his troops. You're going to go in a battle. You go in first, and I'll follow you. I mean, that's how it was. Today they hide in their the Oval Office. You know what I mean? With an elevator there, they can go straight down to a nuclear fallout shelter if any goes sour. But that's not just in America. That's in Australia. That's also in China. I mean, the Chinese people don't want war. It's the ones that are ruling, the 1%ers up top there that are controlling the masses.
They should be on the front lines as far as I'm
exactly.
concerned.
I don't know if they want. I'm sorry, I've been so quiet. My throat's closing up. I might
No,
have to
we
dip out
understand
in a
that. I
minute.
understand that.
But I don't think they want the war. They just want to keep us busy. They want us to stay perpetually in war so that they can play with all the pretty toys and frequencies and mess with us.
And
So
keep
war-
us
the war-
divided. Keep us all divided.
Yeah.
That's the
Because
real
but-
war. The real
Yeah.
war is between them and us by them trying to control what we think and how we act. If they
Yeah.
win that, then they don't have to have a war. They got everybody
Yeah.
marching to the whatever the request that they're asking.
Yeah.
They'll either throw it in. It's either religious or it's racial. I mean, they'll throw something in the spanner
It's
in.
cookie cutter
They turn,
is what it
they
is.
turn brothers against brother and sisters against each
Yeah.
other. You know,
Yep.
because if
It's
everybody stood
pattern.
up united, well, I tell you something, there would be hell to pay because we
Yeah.
would win.
Are you on, Eric?
Yeah,
Yeah,
You got. There's a lot of noise coming through there.
I apologize. It's quiet here, but one thing I wanted to note and say is that the only way anyone can control you is through your thought.
Mhm.
So
Right.
so if your thoughts are not in English or Tagalog from Philippines or Russian, Tagalog, yeah. Whoop, yeah. Support the Philippines, but so there's so many different languages, and so many ways to think. So let's confuse ourselves for a moment. Let's throw ourselves off really, really bad. What language, what religion makes you right when it comes to your thoughts? What the hell's going on? What are you doing to your brain? And I call it the gotta monster. I got to get coffee. I got to pay the bills. I got to do this. I got to do that. And gotta drive yourself insane. And actually call that yourself. Think about that, guys. I'm actually going to call that myself. I'm a gotta monster. I have to bother my brain all the time. What happens if I bother my toe all the time? What happens if I bother my left arm all the time? What the hell are you doing bothering your brain all the time? And on top of that, with a made-up language. A made-up language. Are you serious? Are you really doing that? With a made-up language, you're going to do that. So, my thing, when I first started going through the process, or whatever the hell it is I went through, they call it savant syndrome. The first thing was shut up. Just shut up. Shut up the gotta monster. Whatever language I want to talk to myself with, Do not bother your brain. I don't bother my arm. I don't bother my toes. I don't bother my body. Why do I bother my brain with all kinds of silly things? So when you learn to think, and I believe properly, it sounds like that. And when it sounds like that, and when it feels like that, there's no language telling you that you're ugly, that you're fat, that you're stupid, that you're wrong. I can walk straight up to an oak tree right now, pull open a page from Oak Tree magazine, and say, why aren't you as beautiful as this oak tree? Why don't you have those big knots like these oak trees I see? Come on, guy. You know,
I say that every time I look in the mirror.
ah, we
Sorry
all
about
are,
that.
but we're, and you know what, Mr. You're married to a Filipino, so you understand, that they see things differently. You know, that women see things very differently, than, American people do or Australian people do. The work that I've done working with experiencers, people that are suicidal, that want to fall apart because their worldview is completely destroyed because they realize that we're not alone, that there's a higher intelligence going on. So it really does break down. I've worked with thousands of people all over the world, and so I've seen it. I've literally seen it. Every culture, every food, and every lifestyle, and it really made me understand how foolish I am as an American spoiled person, to understand reality of the totality. We are so selfish that we don't understand the rest of the world. We're hyper focused on our spoiled asses, but the thing is, that we are told, constantly told by, first and foremost, the gotta monster in our minds. You gotta. But you know what? We have a government that says you gotta. Everything says you gotta. Leave it alone, and you'll become bigger, become stronger. I'm not talking about it's going to become easier. It's going to become harder, and when it becomes harder, you understand that you're stronger. And when you understand that you're stronger, you can love more. And when you know that you can absolutely undergo that, absolutely undergo the understanding of love, nothing can stand in your way. And you look in the mirror one day and you decide and you understand the absolute ridiculousness of things that absolutely do not stand in your way anymore. And you become something that no one understands. You become alone, but you become something and change something. And that is something you can hold on to because it is truly what you really are behind all those lies.
Can I
Yeah.
piggyback on Eric a little bit? I'm going to dip out in a second, so I just want to share a thought really quick. Oops. Oh, there it goes. The frequency and the, talking without the language and everything Eric's speaking of, it just made me flash to motherhood. And, your form of communication with your baby's your eyes and your feeling. Like that's how you communicate with your baby and your child and animals and plants. And I've literally watched plants shift. I'm not talking to them, but I'm radiating something different and I'm giving I'm talking to them here. And then the kids in the classroom, I teach them to talk here without saying a word, and the energy does the work for you. There was also something really cool we just did about, my son, he just dipped in on a live I did the other day. And we're talking about the microphone, and I'm like, picture the waves going into the thing. My point being, although of humanity and all life on Earth, on multiple planets, whatever it is, we've got this and we've got this. That's our communication. We're good, And I think the exposure of ufology and the business behind it, humanity isn't there yet. They're not there to receive that transmission. They're still, like he says, stuck in the gotcha brain or got to do this, or they're still programmed. So I pray that I may be a grandma or great grandma one day and I can see this more humanity be so receptive to these frequencies and like chime in and do their bit, because just we're the population here that are going to disclose anything by showing that we can commune with anyone and everything and shift it. Does that make
Yeah, well,
sense? I was sitting
yes,
on that
it
for a
does.
minute. I don't
But
know
I
if it
agree
makes
with
sense.
Robert.
was
You know, I mean, it's
straight up
exposure. It's
perfect.
exposure, not disclosure. And I totally agree with it. And also, too, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. Honestly, I believe it's not going to happen. It's just, look, every year they want to hype it up, because when they hype it up, it creates work. It's kind of, okay, we've got more conferences, we've got to be more excited about this. It's like a sales pitch. That's, I mean, it is. It's
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I'm sorry. I got a little Scorpio snarky this morning, and I was just kind of like social mediaing on Instagram. I'm like, there's a perfect meme. It was something of like, oh gosh, now I gotta remember it. The talker, the doer, and the thinker, or whatever it was. And the line was so long about the talkers, but the doers, there's no one in line. It's like, who's actually practicing what they preach? Who's just bitching, or who's just trying it out in the real world with people that don't know about us, and
but
don't
also
know
you've got
about
the
this stuff.
gunners.
We're
You've
gonna
got
change.
I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that.
Soon,
and
one day. What if?
yeah,
When?
they'll complain.
Dates.
They will
Yeah.
complain to everybody around them, but they don't do
Yeah.
anything about it. They're gonna do it, but they never get around to it. And
Yeah.
ufology is full of that. Really is full of it.
Yeah.
And what really pees me off is when people start saying and declaring it's true, saying the Galactic Federation of Planets, right? And and they're talking about space arcs. I mean, there could be. I don't know. But hey, I don't want to hear this crap if they haven't got proof. I mean, I know. Look, I sit to work where I know what I'm talking about. Where I've seen UFOs. I'm an abductee. I've had close encounters. When I was a child. I know what it's all about. I'm not out there to impress anybody or tell people this or that. But don't start writing books and telling people it's fact and say, but I wrote the book and I'm the ambassador of Earth to Earth. Yeah,
Right.
and I'm speaking on behalf of the Galactic Federation, and people believe it. I mean, basically,
more
what
segregation.
they're doing, they're feeding information to Star Trek fans, if you know what I'm saying. I mean,
Yes.
people are into Star Trek. They know it's a cult following. They know it. So you want to give them that story, that narrative. Oh, they're going to love it. They'll come on board just like they do with Star Trek when they go to Comic-Con,
That's why this whole thing, it's like the celebrity of it, the manufactured storyline. It's all meant to put you in this class system of division of you don't have enough knowledge yet. I mean, Scientology
Exactly.
does it, religions do it. Like you have to get there instead of just you're there and you're remembering that you're there. That's the simplicity of it, and that's why people like us get
But
censored.
what irks me is that some people take it on board religiously and believe it, and it's going to happen. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, you're like that person down the street 100 years ago with a billboard over his chest saying the end is near.
I know, but you wouldn't poo-poo me. And I, at one point, was at these conferences, like, take my money, pick me, like I was there at one point. So I needed it to unlock, and then unlocked, and then I got unlocked again, and I met someone else who unlocked me more, and it keeps going. That's why it's going to take a long time for this.
Look, it comes down to the point. Look, I don't like talking politics or religion or anything, but it irks me because every time I see stuff like this happen, it reminds me, it's like when it's an earthquake somewhere or there's a war somewhere, all these born again Christians saying, see, it's a sign of end times. It's a sign of end times. And they talk it. It's like they're trying to turn people to religion under fear. See, 150 years ago, they used to teach religion with fire and brimstone. today, it's with the love of Christ. I mean, how quickly it's changed. I mean, I'm a spiritual man. Don't take me wrong. I believe in God. That's my personal choice. Religion, I've got no time for it. I have no time for religion.
Well,
And I'm sorry if it offends anybody. I'm sorry if it offends anybody, but hey, I respect what you believe or whatever. Hey, if you want to believe in Mickey Mouse, well, that's your prerogative. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I've got my beliefs, and Jim's got his belief. Robert's got his belief. Hey,
Right.
but as Eric would turn around and say, what's the main power of it all? Love. It's not about what God. It's not about what God you pray to. I mean,
Yeah.
God might come in 10,000 different names. We're talking about the same God.
I know. One more last nugget, and I'm saying that with all of when you just brought up even earthquakes. We had a little one yesterday, and then we had the monsoon this last week. We also had winter. But when all of a sudden
a
people
day.
were projecting on line, and then the loosh, and then this. Once people realize how freaking powerful they are as individuals, and all of that does something, you will probably start to detach from those that you put high above you. But I was trying to get people, like, I'm trying to chime in going, we're good, or here we got this. Yes, that happened, but don't put all your things. Well, no, the quake's coming. I'm like, well, usually kind of happens after a big dump, but there's a way to go about things. And I think the more that people tune into that frequency of love, or they tune into that frequency of your own shift, there's your UFO disclosure or whatever. But listen to the common peeps. I guess as you go, can you see me shaking? I have a fever. I'm sore throat. I'm like, I can't.
Oh, look,
stop.
hey, listen, I know you've got to. I know you've got to go. We hate to see you go, but we do care about your health, and the door's always open for you with us. You can take this as your second home. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you again. We're going to play again soon. And Eric, it was such a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you for that.
And you'd be wanting us to come on your show soon, don't you? The three of us.
Heck yeah. We need another rounder.
Yeah,
finally full swing again. Yes.
Yeah, for those people that suffer from insomnia, you can have us on again.
Yeah. And Robert will throw another turd on the table.
That's my favorite saying. Eric, thank you again so much. I know.
Thanks, Heidi. It was a pleasure as always.
Mike.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. I'll talk to you very soon.
Feel better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye now. Thank you. Lovely lady. Oh,
sweetie.
Well, but that's it. UFOlogy. Well, as I said, it's gone sour at the moment with me. But hey, I'm hanging in there because I believe in it. I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm not doing it for the. Hey, no way am I doing it for the money. I'm doing it because.
Some people are. I never have. I've never cared if it was for the money. If there's some money involved, hey, that's just sort of a cherry on top.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is something I want answers to.
I'm not interested. I've got 10,000 followers or 5 followers. As long as the followers I have are quality, not quantity. Quality. Having people that listen and have the very same opinion. And in other words, you relate with. That's the important thing. It's the relating with, because all I hear is people out there in ufology are just telling people what they want to hear, and they themselves, they don't give 2 cents to it, mate. They really don't. All their interest is the next sale or whatever. Or they turn around and says, "Oh, I had you on the show. Yeah, but how many followers have you got? How many hits do you get? If you don't reach 10,000 hits or so many thousand hits, they don't want to know you." I mean, they don't just say that's kind of. I don't want people like that anyhow. So they're an insult.
The only criteria I've ever had, as long as I'm not doing something, for the wife, or I'm not in my car, why not?
Yeah.
I don't care if I don't care if it's just myself and the person on the other end.
That's right.
If I can answer some questions or help them get a jump start, I don't know. I'm just me. I'm nobody special. I'm always amazed when people comment that I'm going to be somewhere. Hey, I've never pretended to be anybody than James Christian Goodall, the first. So
The first.
the first. Yeah, I don't know if there would be a second. My son's James Warren, so. And, and my first grandson is James Bryan, so they all have different middle.
Anyway, what's the latest news about Belize at the moment? There,
we're going to have a chat with some important people on Monday, and the people who are excited about it are the people who can pick up a phone and raise $10 million. So this could be absolutely incredible because it's not just one part of it. There's a half a dozen different segments of it that we have the cave system. There hasn't been 100 people in the history of Belize have been in any of these caves, period. And I think Jose said that since he's been given tours, he's had 3 in the last 10 years. So, but they're this time of the year, they're accessible. I don't know about critters in there. I just
that's one of the first things I'd be checking out.
Yeah. But apparently the critters don't like you. So as long as you don't step on them, did Robert?
No, he's still there. He's probably going to get a top up.
Oh,
or he might be having a choke. Who knows, man? I don't know, but he's still there.
yeah. Or he may have decided to dissolve.
Yeah. I don't know. He'll be
Well,
back.
when I get to the point of dissolving, I'll make sure that I do it live streaming.
Oh, hey, get a whole bunch of extra likes that way, huh?
Get a whole bunch. You guys will get a whole bunch of extra traffic when I just dematerialize on the screen, right?
No,
that's going to happen someday.
I think we've probably got some glimpses of it. There's some weird stuff out there where you go, wait a minute.
In Miami, someone said that some kids were again playing around with frequencies and opened something up that wasn't supposed to be opened up at that place or at that part of the transition.
Oh yeah, it has, Ray. Certainly has.
Yeah, it has been active. Actually, I was looking at a couple of videos earlier on this morning. A lot of activity going on. There was one particular video that's going viral at the moment. Somebody took it, and it's actually a star. UFOs behaving like stars. It will actually move from one point to within 10 minutes. They go from here, stand still, they move up to a different direction, just stop there, and then move over there, come back again, and stop again. And you can't tell the difference between them and stars, So interesting.
Well, one of the things that I think is going to be one of the more interesting ones that I am looking forward to exposing is not only the civilization or the station we have on Mars, but all of the stuff that they found that was on Mars a long, long time ago, and which will give further credence, in my opinion, to the we are actually the Martians. And there was a civilization on Mars that went through what is called in the mythos the cosmic war. And that explains the Valles Marineris, which is, and when you look at a picture of it, you go, well, that wasn't made by water or anything. There's no canals. There's no nothing. It's just a flat area with a great big Birkeland current going right through it. Just completely cleaned out. No debris, nothing on the sides. And you look at it and you go, well, okay, that was obviously electricity. There's some great books. John Brandenburg's book on Mars, I'm sure you know about, Jim, is amazing. What's his name? Hoagland has got some of the best stuff of Mars because he's the one that pushed the face on Mars in Cydonia. and back in the mid 80s. And
A friend of mine was at SAC headquarters in Omaha. He was a photo analyst, and he got a high resolution copy of that image to analyze. And he said, it's not a natural it's not a natural formation. There's, he said, he's the one who did the analysis of Desert One during the fiasco trying to rescue the hostages in the American embassy in Tehran.
Right.
And he said they just couldn't.
interesting. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I think we're going to see again, it's a part of the rise of the pissed off peeps that are getting a peek at the poop that has been hidden for so long. That the kids who are in the schoolyard, they're not sharing the toys.
And now they
damn
can,
we have had enough.
Now they can share it with the world. There's not a damn thing they can do about to stop it.
Well, that's the thing. Is that imagine? I mean, I always like to steel man, concepts and try to look at different aspects from different perspectives. If you look at it from their side, it's like, well, we want to preserve ourselves as long and as well as we can. If we turn this stuff loose, it's going to wipe out everything that makes us who we are. We're going to lose all of our shit. The value of the things that we've accumulated, all of those things are going to be replaced. So it'll have to be transferred into something else. And that, I think, is where some of the most incredible opportunity is for this energy shift, this frequencies. We've got a whole bunch of new frequency sets coming in, galactically, cosmically, from Gaia, from the earth, and within ourselves. All the frequencies that we need in order to exist in the reality that we inhabit. All of that is changing. So we're seeing the decline of an energy sequence and cycle with the rise of another one. And there's a crossover. And I think we're kind of in that crossover space. So it's kind of murky and you're not sure what's going on. But if you look around and pay attention, you can see that the stuff that was really crap is starting to fade off, or at least looks like it's not going to last long. And the stuff that's going to be good looks like it's just kind of getting started. There's a positive push forward in the motion and movement of creation. And I think that's what we're about to experience. It really is. They've got these, there's all kinds of delineations. I love the fifth dimension one the most because that's used the most. You got to go to 5D from your 3D. But what do you get? You got to stop at 4 maybe, but you can maybe skip 4 and go straight to 5. But then there's a whole nother set of levels that you could potentially go to if you are aware of those. Well, they all could be true, or they could be part of the truth that's unfolding. But in reality, the bottom line truth is the bottom line truth is that there is a transformative disruption going on in the frequencies of the cosmos. And it's all across the board. It's not just the cosmic rays. It's not just our own internal. The cosmic rays are the biggest influence, but all of the individual fiefdoms under that and the frequency sets that get organized, and then they go and try to control and herd things. All of that energy is what's dissipating. It's all and oddly enough, and humorously enough, as well as sadly enough, most of it is self-inflicted. It's dying when things decompose under their own actions and their own weight, their own energy. That's organic, and that's what you want. You want the shit that doesn't work to dissolve sooner than later. And sometimes when it's at its peak, it's hard for the rest to push it out, hurt it, and push it out of the way. But as it loses energy and it becomes something that doesn't have the influence that it had when it was much larger, then it just kind of perpetuates itself into dissolving into what science refers to as entropy. It loses its energy. But I don't believe in that. I think energy just transforms. But that's what we're in, and that's why it's crazy, in my opinion. It's simple, but it makes the complex, strange oddities and nonsense and anomalies a little easier to gaze at and try to divine and discern.
Well, I mean, this young Russian fellow, I forget his name. He's supposed to be reincarnated as an Earthling. He was supposed to be from Mars. Remember that young fella? Apparently, they reckon he could read at the age of 6 months, just about. He's a very bright lad.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, and apparently the story he tells. I'll say story because I mean there's no fact behind it, but then it's interesting. He actually spoke about the war, and apparently they destroyed one of their own moons. And apparently, one of them, when they destroyed the moon, parts of it crashed into Mars, and that's why you've got that massive big rip on the surface. But as you said, there's no kind of build-up of debris or anything from it, right? But what he actually turned around and said, a scout ship, a ship went out to find somewhere suitable to live. And I assumed that they actually came to Earth, but apparently the craft itself crashed when it got here, or it crashed, or it got frozen over, it snapped frozen. And this is where it's Antarctica, apparently. This is how the story goes, right? I mean,
Karen in the chat is bringing up where I was going to go, oddly enough. And that is that what's fascinating to me is when you use two different disciplines, two different knowledge things like archaeology versus biology. They use the same math, the same physics and everything to define their shit, but they're all in their own little silo. The guys over in archaeology don't know anything about biology and vice versa. So if they discover something they need biological interpretation, they go get somebody that does that. What's interesting to me is when you look at the physical, you look at the science, the stats, the data, the metrics on the solar system, we have things that we've been able to define. We got the sun, we got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. We got this big chunk band of broken up shit. And then we've got Jupiter, Saturn, and on out, right? Everything before that band of broken up shit is small, totally in comparison to the ones that are on the outside of the band, right? So you go, well, what does that look like? You don't have to call it anything, but there's a certain data set there that says, looks like something happened here, because it doesn't look like it should be there. So there should be something else there, not what's there.
Basically, we're looking at debris.
Right? Yeah. So you take in empirical data that is in the domain of astrophysics and astronomy, and you take that data set. And in that also, before we leave that data set, in that planetary astrophysics or planetary physics there, you've got the anomalies like we're talking about with Mars. And there's a whole bunch of others. Io, there's moons. I mean, there's weird shit going on that none of the science can't really explain. It tries to give an assumption, but it can't. The things that they're seeing in the system don't match the way that they've defined the physics and the way things should work. So you understand that. Go with their data set. They say, here's the planets. There's a bunch of them out here. There's a big band of broken stuff. And then all the small ones are down here. And then you got this great big old sun. Right? And they all agree to that. They can't explain the asteroid belt. They can't explain the Valles Marineris. say that 3 times. They can hypothesize, but it looks anomalous to what they hypothesize, what their answers are. So then you take that data set. Now we're moving over to the mythos. Take that information and go see if any of that is explained in the ancient texts. And Karen brought up the Sumerian tablets. I mean, the whole Anunnaki, the entire construct, and how those all of that worked is fascinating. And they talk about wars, planets, weapons, mass destruction, moons crashing into other planets, the whole creation of Earth from Tiamat, from the Nibiru, one of the 12 satellites of Nibiru, coming too close, getting it kicked. Sounds like, and Tiamat was supposed to be further out, 3 or 4 times the size, major watery planet, right in the Goldilocks zone. So tying it back to the science, right? They have all these things, right? Well, they can't explain the asteroid belt, but here's this story back in the Sumerian tablet that talks about this event that happened that could perfectly explain what we're seeing.
Exactly. I mean, back in the Sumerian times, they weren't supposed to have telescopes or anything like that either, but they seem to know the solar system rather well.
They had real good eyes. They weren't looking at their cell phones all day long.
That's true. Well, I'm guilty of that. I'm always got my head in my cell phone. Oh, God.
Well, so anyway, to me, that's part of what's going on in this big reveal. You're seeing one of the biggest problems in our science model, at least the way that it's executed and administered, is the lack of interdisciplinary exchange and knowledge. You don't have different disciplines, these knowledge silos getting together. You don't have the biologists getting together with the neuroscientists. They hang with different groups and they don't go and share information. Well, some of it has to do with competition because the neuroscience guys just think they're going to be able to win out over the biological guys, right? There's always that innate competition. But anyway, all of that stuff is changing because now these interdisciplinary investigative analytical approaches to these things is being done. It's being done by citizens, by the peeps. You have citizen journalists and scientists and show hosts. B to you.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's the thing is that I was giving you a salute. That's my point is that there's a.
I was reading at the time.
Not this one. B. Yeah.
There's a transformative event going on in the access and the ubiquity of information.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, the tools that are scaring the shit out of people that they purposely positioned that way, in my opinion, they're the ones that are going to actually hamper the folks that are trying to do what they want to do. And this point in case is this. Let's say that you wanted information that was free speech, could say whatever it wanted. Content was whatever you defined. And if you want it all, just give me it all. Give me whatever's out there and then do an analysis on it. And if it comes back and it tells you what is not the official narrative, they're not going to let that happen. As soon as they start seeing that stuff, they're going to start programming that out because it will expose even more of the control. So what I'm saying is the organic, more individualistic or different self-organizing groups, the way that they decide to work together because they'll have the freedom to do that is going to determine the formation of these new things. You'll have different infrastructure and different entities for finances, for all of the insurance, the way that we think about it. Taxation is going to completely change and most likely go to a point where people will finally put the big squeeze on the question of why is it necessary? Where is it necessary? And all of that is going to transform that model. And it's mainly going to happen because our economic model is going to change.
Yeah, Neil, Neil's actually asked a question
My
a few
sweet
moments ago about the Egyptian pharaohs with the elongated skulls. Apparently, so what I've actually read about it, they're not human, but one particular pharaoh moved to the Upper Nile. I forget can't think of the place. He created a new city and he broke away from traditional Egyptian religion.
Amenhotep. It was Amenhotep. So. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
What was the name of that city again?
Not was it Luxor?
Yes, it was.
Luxor.
Yes, yeah. It was. And of course, but yet the Egyptian religion went totally against him. But he had a thriving metropolis going there and followers. Here's the guy here. He had the disformed stomach, as they say. Elongated skull. Wasn't he the son of Nefertiti?
Amenhotep was the son of Akhenaten, I think. Or I might have it the other way around.
Or was he married to Nefertiti? I'm not sure. It's something like that, isn't it? So, yeah, interesting. That's something I should look up. I should do a bit more reading on that one. That's that is a very interesting subject because going back to those ancient times, I mean, it's the mystery of the place. It's brilliant. I mean, just the fact how they built things those days. I mean, the carvings themselves. I mean, you know what? I was watching this documentary about these hieroglyphs, how perfect they are. But what one guy turned around and said, the only way they could have been done was lasered, and he explained why. He says because the measurements of each, like if you had two birds on the hieroglyphs. They were both exactly the same size and exactly the same depth, and the edges were perfect. So, so
more like it was a mold.
Well, how do you mold? So basically, they had the technology.
Well,
to mold
that's a
stone.
whole nother show, my friend. There's a whole lot of
now listen. Listen. You've hit the nail on the head there because let's face it. You want to go down and have a look at some of the Aztec ruins. Right, and the Inca ruins, those walls they actually built look like they were actually melted in. The way they're curved in and they're so tightly fit. And the way they're cut out, it's like somebody was playing with plasticine.
Well, that's why I said they're molded. I mean, have you seen anything like that wasn't molded?
No,
I haven't. I mean.
Hey, we got a sour on.
She wants out. Just a second. You want to go outside?
I mean, when you look at that, when you look at stuff like that, you have to compare it to something. What's Karen say here? For the original Council of the Transfer Nations, the Star Disc Treaty, Noah's Ark. Cardinals ISIS treaty began in 340, and extended to 2013. This is the overtime to graduate humans due to interference. So I'm liking the whole. I'm liking the idea of graduation. I feel like I've been stuck in class for too long.
I reckon next show we do.
I didn't want to be in.
Hey, I reckon
you're irritating the shit out of me.
Hey, man, I reckon next show we do, we'll have to invite Karen on because she seems to know a little bit of something here.
Karen and I are going to do a show for the Nexus here soon. So, yeah, she's great, amazing, and her knowledge and her energy is
I've picked
part
up
of the
on
transformation.
I've picked up on that already.
Yeah, she's great.
And thank you, Karen, for your input. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you. Yeah, that's where's Jim gone for another top up, has he? Or an empty?
No, he had to take her out for
for
a leak. Dog needed a leak.
All right.
So I think that, my position on the whole ufology, however you want to look at it right now, is I know enough of the stuff that I have seen more credible stuff than not. So they've got a better batting average. So I keep an eye on those. But I'm just staying out of the whole thing. I used to listen to a lot of Dolan and Jimmy Church.
I don't
these
listen
guys.
to that. Hey, I don't listen to them anymore. I mean,
That's what I'm saying is I haven't the sources I was listening to and getting data from 5-7 years ago, it totally changed. I mean, completely changed.
but
And I feel better and more informed, and the track records have improved by selecting a different information stream than what I was consuming before.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I highly recommend a re-examination of the channels on your radio and make sure you change up to some new feeds, because they're out there.
Well, obviously, at the end of the day, these gurus of ufology, actually, at the end of the day, these gurus of ufology, they're still playing with the same narrative, the same story in different order. That's all they're doing. I like to try different avenues and brainstorm it, and that's what's important. I mean, you're not here to agree with me. I'm not here to agree with you. But if we come to an agreement, well and good. But you've got to challenge.
Wait a minute, I thought that's what that check was for.
Yeah. Yeah, the one you're giving me.
I thought, this is agree with B money. Okay, I'll put that over here.
Yeah, I had to cut it short, gentlemen. I don't want to, but my little German Shepherd rescue saw me jumping up in here a few minutes ago. The wind is howling and it's starting to thunder, and it just goes absolutely nuts. And the only place he's safe is.
Well, we've got our 2 hours up anyhow, so I think we could call it quits for tonight. Hey guys, I'm thinking about doing an extra show during the week, so I'll keep you posted about that. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I'll keep you posted. I'll give you a call on the old blower there, Jim. And
all right, it sounds good. If I see it, it's from him. What the fuck does he want? Yeah. Oh, excuse me. You weren't supposed to hear that. I thought I had it in my mic muted.
Yeah, right. Oh dear.
Terry, thank you. Robert, always enjoy the two of you. The beautiful Heidi. She's always welcome. Chest cold or fever or whatever. So I hope she's feeling better. And again, I want to thank you guys for your friendship. I really do. It makes me feel good. And I truly like there's only one or two, and everybody I've met in this community that I think is an asshole, and everybody agrees with me with who it is. I don't even have to say.
You mean I'm not an asshole? Oh shit! Well, I'm
I didn't exclude you.
No, I'm just a dirty old man.
Oh, okay.
I've worked hard all my life, to be one. Yeah. Anyway, hey, listen. I'm going to say thank you everybody for joining us this evening where you are, and it's afternoon. 12 minutes past the hour of 1 in the afternoon here in Perth, Western Australia.
It's time for you to have a little brunch and Barbie and a beer, right?
It's 10-12 p.m.
Actually, I've got a beautiful lasagna for dinner tonight. So Statton's lasagna, and it's going to go on my 45-inch waistline. Anyway. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you everybody for joining us today on Mr. B's Truth Seekers. And please come again. Always remember, tickle that little button there, the like button, and subscribe. And that we can send out notifications here next time we have a show. Plus, as I always say, be nice, be kind, and aspire to inspire one another. And most of all, let's spread the love around. Why not? Okay. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye now.
You take care. Thank you.
Take care.